Hello, kia ora, I'm Philip Duncan. Thanks for joining us for our Friday 7-day RainWatch update. Let's get into the forecast. We have got a lot of high pressure moving out of Australia, but it's parked a little bit to the west at the moment. That's encouraging this southerly airflow across New Zealand. Now, locally, you might have a nor'wester or a sou'wester or even a southeasterly, but the airflow moving across New Zealand is coming out from the south. That's why temperatures are down a wee bit this morning. They will lift up into the afternoons across the days, but we do have another southerly change coming through this weekend. Before we get into that, let's have a look at the 7-day rainfall maps, putting them at the beginning of the video now, showing you the departure from normal, brought to you by Resupply. Look at all the pink and red shading around New Zealand. That means it's a little bit drier or much drier than usual based on what has historically fallen at this time of the year for the second week of March. So driest weather certainly around the western side of the South Island and around the top of the North Island. The blue you see mostly out around Australia, that's courtesy of Cyclone Alfred as it moves into Queensland and New South Wales and drops further down across New South Wales as well. Well, we're into autumn. Calm weather, ideal time for putting down fertilizer. March, as a kid, I used to grow up in Bay of Plenty and over in Waikato. The fertilizer plane was the coolest thing in the world. But if you're putting fertilizer down, calm weather, we've got a lot of high pressure on the way. If it's too windy to spray, then it's too windy for fertilizing. Keep an eye on humidity. Probably not a problem with the week coming up with these airflows from the south. Ideally 10 millimeters of rain on the fertilizer within 8 hours of application. We might have that in some of the regions coming up with these showers. It's not a very wet week on the way though. We're going to show you that in a moment, and avoid heavy rain, which again is probably not really a problem with all this high pressure on the way. Please visit resupply.co.nz for more information about the fertilizing time of the year. So let's have a look at the 7-day rainfall. Let's animate it, see what's on the way. You can see Cyclone Alfred over here, but the blue you see around New Zealand, I'm sorry to say, if you need rain, it's right at the bottom of the scale. We do see though some wetter weather coming in around Southland, maybe some parts of Otago and Canterbury, and a little bit also further up to the north around the northern part of Hawke's Bay and Gisborne, and on the other side, the western side, most of those showers are out at sea. So it's not looking like a very wet week for the next several days around New Zealand. This is very heavy rain to the northeast, 300 millimeters offshore and 300 millimeters plus over around Australia. But the blue in New Zealand, bottom of the scale, 1 to 5, and the green sort of 10 to 15. So not a huge amount of rain on the way this week, and you're going to see why. Here we are. Let's get into the forecast properly. Saturday, lunchtime, just after lunch maybe. We've got some showers around Southland, and this is a southerly moving up the country. So even though we do have a southerly flow around New Zealand, this is just another little brief burst of southerly weather with a few showers as it moves northwards. The North Island's not overly wet, but keep in mind this will be moving into the North Island as we go through Saturday into Saturday night. Not a massive amount of relief if you live along the western side of the North Island where it is driest in New Zealand at the moment, but a couple of isolated showers around might bring a couple of properties some relief. Going into Sunday now, and the western part of New Zealand dries out. We have had a lot of sunny days this year for the top of the North Island. I'm based in Auckland, and I can count on one hand how many days we have every year with no cloud in the sky, a whole day with no cloud. It is usually less than 5 days a year. At the moment, we're getting a good run for our money with these southeasterlies. That affects parts of Auckland, Northland, Waikato and Taranaki, and also the central parts of the North Island. That southeasterly flow, it's like a reverse nor'wester for the South Island. So the rain builds up on the eastern side, dry and sunny for the western side. Down the South Island, a bit of a southerly around Cook Strait area, so that will still affect the lower part of the North Island. A few isolated showers, otherwise dry. This big high is bulldozing everything away. So once we get to Monday, it looks pretty dry around New Zealand. There's a wee bit of low pressure to the north of the country in the subtropics, and that will interact with the high smack bang over the top of the Chatham Islands. So a wee bit of an easterly flow or a southeasterly flow around the top of New Zealand. It won't be very strong, but some of those coastal areas might notice it. A few showers from Great Barrier Island into the Bay of Islands and around Northland, pale blue, not much in the way of wet weather. Around the eastern side here, from sort of East Cape down to Hawke's Bay, perhaps a better chance of some showers, won't be a very big amount. And then you've got the high pressure further to the south where winds are light, skies are dry. So let's go further into next week. The next southerly comes through here, maybe Monday night, Tuesday morning for the very south, and then it spreads its way up that eastern side once again. Why are these showers, like today and tomorrow and next week, why are these showers moving up the eastern side? It's due to the high pressure over here, which kind of pushes it bulldozes it out east the further that high comes in towards us. So that's why you see these showers around here on the eastern side. Normally you expect them to sort of move into the western side first of all, but it doesn't always do that when the high is shaped like that, and sometimes it encourages up and around. That's what we're seeing there. Carries on Wednesday like that too. Comes in and around for some spots, maybe around the eastern North Island, also the top of the North Island. But we're really in the weeds here, trying to talk about rain. I mean, I'm zooming out so much to show you how massive that high is, stretching all the way up to Fiji, all the way down to the Southern Ocean, all the way across to Australia, and all the way east of the international date line. So a huge area of high pressure. We're trapped under it, a few showers in there if you're lucky, but it won't be much. Thursday, similar story. Actually got two sort of centres to the high here on Thursday. If this stays true, out to the west, out to the east, that means you can get a little bit of convergence in the middle where the winds meet up, and that's why you're seeing a bit of wet weather just along there, mostly out at sea. Could still move around a wee bit left or right in the days ahead. And our final map here for Friday of next week shows the big high pressure zone coming into New Zealand. Still some showers in both islands, nothing very much though, drier than average. That's why that 7-day departure from normal map was sort of pink and red and white. It wasn't necessarily all red because we do have a few showers around, but it's not very much, doesn't add up to very much. And big picture, this is actually quite a settled map for the time of year we're in. High pressure coming out of the Indian Ocean, under Australia, and then over towards New Zealand. The tropics pretty quiet, the Southern Ocean looking a bit busier, and what I would call autumn's windy westerlies, they are down here in this belt, south of New Zealand, not yet affecting us. So for now, we're in what we like to call an Indian summer. Certainly, as far as rainfall and temperatures are concerned, we're above average at the moment, or drier than average. We are getting the cooler mornings, the cooler nights, as the nights get longer and longer. Can't really avoid that. But at the moment, things are looking pretty dry. We're still feeling like it's summer in many places. So from the drought index, the drought zone in the middle here is eased back. Now that could still be growing in the days ahead because there isn't much wet weather coming through. We've got some technical drought around parts of Northland and Auckland as well, right on the western coastline there, and a little bit still around National Park into the sort of Wanganui, Manawatu area, and also the western side of the South Island and Southland, showing signs of drying out. So what we've seen is the peak area, the driest area, or what we would call drought or severe drought, that's disappeared pretty much. A little bit of drought, as I say, around Auckland and Northland, and a bit around the Central Plateau. Otherwise, you're seeing the dry, very dry, and extremely dry regions expand further. And so, you just saw the rain map. March is looking dry. We're not seeing much in the way of rain. So just get your heads around that as best you can. Hopefully we'll find some rain coming as we go later into the month, certainly in towards April. I'm optimistic we'll see a bit of a change, but we need a break in the highs for that to happen. That's the reason why Cyclone Alfred hasn't come down to us. Too much high pressure in the New Zealand area. That is all from me. Have yourselves a great weekend. Look forward to seeing you again on the start of next week.